and welcome to another episode of Influence and Growth Mastery. Today, we're going to be talking about snap out of it and what is stopping you from being great. Today, I have Stephen Leshy with me, and as we're talking about snapping out of it and what is keeping you from being great, that lays out a new perspective on what it is about being a great selling professional today. And we've had some great conversations about the sales space lately. And so we're going to continue some of that conversation, but moving past the limiting beliefs about learning the sales skills and creating meaningful relationships. You guys have heard me talk about meaningful relationships a lot in the past, and the need for positive mental health. This has not been something that we've talked about much, but I think it is a great conversation. And then a road to being a great selling profession. So let me tell you just a little bit about Stephen. He is married to a beautiful and supportive partner, Julie, and is very proud of his two sons, Michael, who has been a blessing with his first grandchild. Many of you can relate, as I can relate. Just got a new grandchild myself. And his first grandchild came this February, and Stephen, who is getting married in April, he has volunteered for the last 12 years, coaching hundreds of individuals through some of the most difficult times, and has helped many rebuild their lives and careers. In 2022, over 2 decades in different sales roles, Stephen decided to take his coaching, his training, his consulting business full time, and helped business owners, sales managers, selling professionals improve their ROI, productivity, create better client experience, enjoy their work more on their way to achieving their financial goals. For an added background in his professional life, Stephen started his career in sales as a mentor and trainer working with Verizon and 140 inbound sales and service representatives. Stephen, I have to say that's a lot of salespeople. Having 100% of the sales representatives' participation in a voluntary coaching program, he helped increase office revenue. This is huge, y'all. Revenue by 20% in over 2 decades in sales as an individual contributor. He has helped over 1,000 B2B and over 1,700 B2C clients solve their most pressing problems. That's impressive. He was the recipient of various honors, including Up-and-Coming Rookie Award, multi-year President's Club winner, and #1 in district, area, and regional rankings. Also has a vote of confidence and trust in his abilities in his role and contributor as coach and trainer. The sales staff drafted, signed, and presented, I think this is so impressive, a petition requesting him to be promoted to sales manager. How many times does that happen in the corporate career today? Not many. As manager, his team increased sales, again, this is great, by 22% and was recognized for #1 place in national and regional monthly rankings for revenue and unit production. Stephen, how impressive. Welcome to Influence and Growth Mastery podcast. It's such an honor to have you here with me today.
Thank you very much. When you're reading, I'm like, who is she talking about?
I'm telling you, I'm like, this is so much. I mean, this is wonderful. And I have to just start off, I have to ask you, so with this much success, what caused you to leave all of this success and start being an entrepreneur?
Well, something I always wanted to do, in the last 20 years or so, different responsibilities, um, it really came to me that people are not getting the training or the coaching they need, basically. And I've been doing this coaching and training for forever. And I said to myself, after the pandemic, and I think a lot of people went through this and analyzing their life and said, really, what do I want to do? So I took my part-time job, quit my full-time corporate job, and said, let me do this for all time. Take the step,
Mm,
take the chance. You know, so
I
that's
love
what
it.
and I want to really get into like a lot of people is you got to get into your head a little better. And really research things and go through it in yourself and say, what do I really want to do? Where do I want to be? And in corporate America, you kind of tack down to a certain goal or model or whatever. It may not fit you. It may not work with your psyche. It may not work with your personality. A matter of fact, as a quote, things I learned last couple of years, two different information. One is 19%, sorry, 20% of the general population suffers from depression. In salespeople, it's 40%. Now, last year was Mental Health Day. So a lot of the stuff came up, and a lot is really focused right on mental health. The other interesting statistic is 3% suffers from being bipolar, the general
Mm.
population, 11% in people who start their own businesses. So those kind of things, even though it's never talked about in sales meetings and sales functions, no matter what, in the philosophy of sales, but it's there, it's apparent. So what I do is help address that. And I thought one of those things that needed was to talk about mental health. So I encourage my clients to really be vested in having good mental health, positive mental health.
Yeah, I think that's so important today. I too left a very successful corporate position. I was in banking for 34 years,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed helping people be successful, even in that career. And leaving that career, man, I was burnt out. The last
Yeah.
3 years, I was extremely burnt out. I've shared this story before on a podcast, and you're going to be able to relate. So just a couple of things real fast. And so let's talk about some mental health and about how you coach people through this. And my audience has heard this, so I don't want to go over all of that again. But there was a time when I wanted to commit suicide, all related to work. I had so much responsibility and I couldn't get it all done, didn't have enough help. So I had that. And then in the later years, I was dealing with physical health issues. For a year, I went to physical therapy because I thought I had done something to my arm. And so, week after week, I went in for the physical therapy. Well, once I walked out of the uh, corporate job, I literally, Stephen, felt a bulldozer roll off of my
Just
back.
roll off you. Yeah.
I felt it. I physically felt that rolling down my back. Well, then a week later, when I went in to physical therapy, my arm was no longer hurting. And so I went in and they were like, how's your arm? And I said, it doesn't hurt anymore. And I was just as puzzled as they were. And I said, could it have been stress?
Yep.
And they were like, yes, it could have been. And for a year, we could not figure out why my arm was not getting better. And the doctor that I was going to was giving me steroid shots, and so all of us were trying to fix this ailment when it was all stress. And that was mentally bothering me because I did not know what was wrong with me.
There's compounding factors. Yeah.
Yes. And I suffered with migraine headaches. And so all of those things come back to to things that happen on the job. So I'm sure these are all things that you help. And I had to get on antidepressants. So I loved what I did. I loved what I did. I loved my job. I was married to my job and I was on a mission to be successful. But you talk about mental health. There was so much mental anxiety that I had through that career. And so how does that all play a role in what you do today and how you help people?
Yeah, stress is probably one of the worst things that could come across someone who's into sales. And sales has a lot of stress involved. Salespeople don't get paid very well for the work they do. They get paid well for the emotional roller coaster they go through every single day. And that's the thing that really turns people off. I mean, the word burnout is technically a medical term also. You know, people don't realize that. All right. And so what I've done is I looked at the marketplace. I looked at what stops people from getting ahead, achieving their financial responsibilities and their goals. The fascinating thing is the number one reason why salespeople don't achieve their financial goals is because they're not making meaningful connection with other people. Second reason is stress, being overwhelmed. Third is staying motivated. Fourth is not being coached or trained properly. So what I do is I take those four aspects of it and build a program around that. So we do talk about stress. We talk about how you can get past that every single day. The stress is as simple as when you're after your meeting, what do? You know, how do you decompress? So I encourage my clients to go through a process I call 4x4. And basically do it 4 times a day. It's a self-check-in. 7 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 10 o'clock at night. And you check your mood, you check your attitude, you check your presence, you check your physical being. And just ask yourself these questions. What kind of mood am I in? Am I struggling for the day? Did I eat? Salespeople forget to eat all the time. You know, am I in bad mood because I didn't eat? Am I tired? Do I ache? So you ask yourself, ground yourself. And that helps you go through the process the rest of the day or start your day. So that helps with that. Those little tricks like that help you with your mental. And then also meditation. That's something that really brings mindfulness, it brings a balance to you. And also I use oils, you know, and the scent of oils really makes my personality, my attitude just change. I use orange and that perks me up. It gives me a fresh moment right there. So those things are important and it really brings a new perspective to sales. We don't talk about those things. We talk about getting the number, getting the number, getting the number. And so I had a conversation with someone last week, and I said, "What's the biggest problems that you have?" One is it's a sales manager. One is my staff are not making enough phone calls. They're not making enough meetings, and they're not closing. Those are the same exact reasons that have been facing sales managers for the beginning of time, but they're not the problem. They're a symptom of the problem. The problem is, why is a sales rep not picking up the phone? Why are they not making it? And it's not just, because they're lazy. I had a client who said to me, he says, I said, what's the problem? He goes, I'm lazy. Okay, so why do you think you're lazy? He goes, because I'm not making phone calls. I said, well, first of all, no such thing as lazy. You're not motivated. I said, because if I offer you $10,000 to pick up that phone, right, would you do it? He goes, yes. Okay, so you're not, it's just not
You're
motivated.
not lazy, yeah.
They're not lazy, just motivated. And I said, also, many salespeople don't like to make phone calls. So you're just in the majority. You're just normal. So we worked on what stops them from doing those things. And it really had nothing to do with the physical process. It didn't even have to do with saying no. It had to do with his own failure. Every time he picked up the phone, he thought it was a failure. The apprehension of not knowing when he was going to get it. All right. Not knowing what the number he had to reach to and stress upon that. So we worked out a different task and skills to work on little tricks to say, you know something? A batting average of 30%, 300 in baseball, you go in the Hall of Fame. Okay? Closing rate at 30% in some companies is normal. All right, so 7 out of 10 times you're not going to hit the ball, you're not going to get an appointment. But if you put it in that perspective, okay, I'm not supposed to get it all the time. I'm not supposed to hit the ball all the time. The expectation is crazy. I shouldn't be doing that. You know, you try to improve yourself, but the expectation upon yourself, right, doesn't have to always be there and hurt your stress, in your mindset. So those things I bring a little different perspective to things.
Yeah, I think oftentimes we ourselves put a tremendous amount of pressure on ourselves to perform a certain way. And then when we don't, then we put our own self under anxiety, stress, overwhelm. Um, and, I also think that, for the individual that you're talking about, he automatically went to, I'm lazy.
Right.
He could have also in the past have been told over and over and over that he was lazy. And because he wasn't reaching the goal or the numbers that he thought he was to reach, every time he didn't, he was recalling a memory that he was told in the past, I'm lazy. That's the reason I'm not getting there. But his expectations too, may have, no, I don't want to say set too high for his skill and his ability, but he needed a mindset shift, just like you're saying. He needed to become comfortable with his skill, his ability, and then put forth the effort to believe in himself that he could, number one, he could do it, and then go through that mind muscle and repetition to, okay, that's one more no, but that's one more call to the next yes.
Well, that's it. That's it. Changing that limited belief and eliminating that shame about it. So one of the things I teach people is that everybody has to let's say you do is cold calling. They don't define. Mm-hmm. Everybody has a number. So the number average wise that you have to achieve before you actually get a yes.
Absolutely.
Just count backwards. It's not, let me see how many I get. Do I have to do 10 calls? I have to make 5 calls. I'm not getting it. I'm not getting it. As opposed to, let me just go through that number, 63, 64, 60,
yes,
backwards, 65, 64, 63. And statistically, when you get to 1, you're going to make an appointment. So it's not, when am I going to hit it? Is how fast am I going to get through it?
Right.
Okay. And it changed that belief. The other thing is the confidence goes along with that.
Mm-hmm.
And what salespeople don't do, and I make this statement all the time and no one disagrees with me, the number one thing that salespeople don't do is practice.
Oh, yeah.
They don't actually practice. They don't practice presentation. They don't practice. And what happens is they complain that the closing rate is 20% when they haven't practiced. Okay. And the thing about corporate America is you do role playing. And the thing about role playing is that you talk to each other and you try to get usually in front of other people. And it's not a supportive place. It's not a safety place. It's not where you can learn and grow. It's more or less, what are you doing wrong? But if you actually look at practice when you're a kid, it's a place where you could actually learn. People are supportive. They want you to succeed. But why don't we present it that way? We don't present it that way. I talk to sales manager instead of say, well, you know, I have a problem. I tell them, why don't you say, let's go practice? Everybody knows how to practice. I don't know any actor, musician, football player, whatever it is, they avoid practice. They encourage it. They want to. They want to practice. Mm-hmm. You ask a salesperson, you ask an actor, let's go read some lines. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm in for it. Okay. You ask a salesperson practice, they're like, no, because everything they can do it. Everything they can sell. Everything they can do. Every single thing that has to do with sales. The truth is, yeah, you can, but you're going to be effective. You're going to be efficient. You're going to be good at it. No, you're going to get the numbers you want to get. You want to get the forecast. You know, do you want to get where you want to be? No, you're not going to. So it's also a mind shift.
Yeah, some of the best salespeople I know practice every day. Every day. I mean, they're I mean, they're practicing every day. They're going through all of the objections. You know, they're practicing on each other daily, and you've got to go through. You've got to go through that muscle. You got to strengthen it.
It's only 10 to 20% of the people that do that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. The top 10% do it all the time. When you look at the mid-range, no, they don't. And it really has to do with them not accepting their own destiny, their self-determination. And that's what managers should really do, business owners should really do, is manage them not to a number, but their own self-determination.
Mm-hmm.
their own decision making, their own self, and that's really hard for managers to do, because it's easy to just say, "Hey, you didn't make your number this month," as opposed to what did you do? I had one guy who I was doing bad. I was really doing bad. He goes, "Steve," he goes, "You're better than this," and it made me think about it, like, yeah, I am better than this. It wasn't you didn't make your number. He goes, "You're better than this," and it changed my whole dynamic. Like, we're not talking about, it's talking about me, my person, my belief in myself, my own self determination. I am better than this. You know. So again, it's that personality, it's a connection with other people that really make a difference. It's a connection that we don't have as much as we used to, and it's hard to get. It's an emotional thing that you have to actually learn to do. Our emotional IQ has gone down, and it really has to do with us not interacting with people. I think one of the things I learned was one of the reasons why our emotional intelligence has decreased is air conditioning. I learned, I'm like, air conditioning? How can air conditioning affect our emotional intelligence? And then the guy said, because you didn't go outside anymore. You didn't talk to your neighbors anymore. You stayed home comfortable. You didn't go in a hot weather and you're sitting on a porch, sitting in the neighborhood, you're sitting on the stoop, whatever it is, and you're talking to your neighbor. No, you don't do that. You stay in your comfort of your house.
Stay in the comfort zone.
You stay in the comfort of your house. So you got to get out and do things. Got to see people. Like one of the biggest things that people do is they don't want to change. They like their life the way they are, but really, they really don't. So I say, just do something differently. I
do something different
just,
every day.
It's so simple. You could get up 15 minutes early and take the earlier train, and you meet a wholly different group of people. You meet different people in line for coffee. You meet different people you meet on laundromat, whatever it is. You meet different people, and that could change your life. And my brother got a job. We were in vacation. He got a job through somebody he met on vacation. It's just out of the blue. You never know. And it's that changing, doing things differently. Yeah. Getting out of his comfort zone.
I said this year, 2023, was going to be the year that I get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right.
And I have to tell you, it's been tough. It's been challenging, but I have pushed myself to get uncomfortable. And I can't say that I've gotten comfortable getting uncomfortable. It's still uncomfortable,
right.
but I have grown so much getting uncomfortable. And I think that if people would push themselves to do that, they would see tremendous growth. Just like you're talking about, practicing sales every day. I think people, number one, they feel very awkward doing it,
right.
but feeling awkward is the growth that you gain from feeling awkward. It's that routine that gets you comfortable. I went to this YouTube conference or summit this past week.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to push myself to, creating more video. Am I comfortable with that? Absolutely not. But am I going to do it? Yes, because I know that's where growth comes from. And so, YouTube is the second Google search in the world.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I? So I just, when I said at the beginning of the year, I'm going to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And then I sat and thought about what that meant. It scared me to death, but I thought
that's the thing.
That's the thing. That's where growth comes from.
It's the fear that's holding you back. One of my favorite sayings is, courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else is more important. So you're making your future more important than your fear. So that's what really holds people back, is their fear. So I ask people all the time is what stops you from being great, being better? What are you afraid of? And they just stand there and look at me like, I don't know. And I think about it, and basically that's what it is. Most of the time it's the fear of something. Most of the time it's a fear of something, and it could be
I
something
think
that you don't even know what it is.
it's the fear of what somebody else is going to think.
Yep.
And it's the fear that you're going to fail, going to mess up. And so every time I think of those things, I think, how am I going to look? What am I going to say that's wrong? I'm like, okay, well, then you just go correct it. Well, what's somebody going to say about me? Okay, well, who are those people? Who cares what they think? I mean, they're only going to think about it for a short period of time. Then they're going to be thinking about somebody else, or it's only going to be for a day, Tanya. So, I think about the thing that I do fear, and I think about the consequences of what that is. And then when you think about that rationally, it's like, what is the big deal about what it is that you're fearing? And then you're like, it's no big deal when you really think about it. Or you think about, you're going to do a live, you're going to go live on social media or something. And you're like, maybe I'm going to say something wrong, or so what? People want authenticity,
That's the thing that it's in this era right now of everything has to be perfect, and it's going back to let's make it authentic. But the thing about being authentic, it has to be authentic but really good. You can't,
yes,
you can't be authentic and bad.
Yes,
even though authentic is bad. So it's kind of thing, and I think that's what happens. The new generation that's coming forward. That's a difficult they have. I think that's the problem they have in creating relationships outside of this. And it's really live interaction. I had a young person working for me, and their job was to sell payroll to and help ask CPAs for help, get referrals from them. And the thing about it, most CPAs are not 25 years old. They're not, right? So I said, go to the mall, stop anywhere, and ask somebody who's about 50, 40 years old, and ask them what's important to them.
Ask them what? What was that?
What's important to them.
Oh, yeah.
What's
important for sure.
That's it. And they couldn't do it. It was so uncomfortable for them. Yeah. It was so uncomfortable because they weren't used to talking to strangers. And in sales, that's our job, to talk to strangers, making those connections. And that's one thing, is that that right there is probably one of the differences that I've seen in the last, 10 years or so. It's really the changes that the new generation has. They're no longer going to sacrifice their family time or their life for their employer. They've seen the pandemic. They've seen the recession. And what did they get out of it? What did their parents get out of it? Of putting their life into this company, what are they getting out of it? So that's also changing the mindset of salespeople. Is how do you get someone to run through a wall for you when they're not going to, their value is saying, I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it to me. So you have to make it worth it to them. And so that's really developing a relationship with them, so they can develop a relationship with other people. And that's the hard part, is going at their company, because they're used to seeing it on the screen being perfect.
Yes.
And for them to see that, the adage, I don't want to see how sausage is made. I just like the way it tastes. That's the way right now. It's really hard for people. So it's really, that's what corporate America is trying to wrangle, is that how do we get this younger generation to fulfill our mission and our goals and our expectations, when the values are different. You have 4 generations right now working in the same spot. How do you manage those 4 generations with different expectations, different values? How do you manage it? And that's one thing that corporate America is wrangling with right now. How to do that, and how to really get that next generation. You'll ask somebody who's doing it for 20 years, hey, can you do X, Y, and Z? Yeah, no problem. Okay, yeah, you work overtime? Yeah, no problem. You ask a younger person, may not say that. They may say, well, I work 8 to 5. That's my time. So how do you get the most of that hours between 8 to 5, or make it worth their while to say, so on this occasion, I will. All right, I will go out of my way. And a lot has to do with the relationship they have with their employer, with their manager, with themselves, with their clients. And that's really the expectations, really, to build that relationship. So it becomes, yeah, I'll do it for you, no problem.
Yeah, I think a lot of that too goes back to, what are their values? You know, what between those different generations, what are their values and how they've been brought up? And
Yeah,
then some of them, I've been on social media here lately, and some of it's been a struggle because and I think it's been a mix of generations, but there's so many people that are in this poverty mindset of, and I think they're stuck there and they absolutely believe they cannot get out.
right.
Um, and they won't even try to get out. They're like, I'm here. You all are there in this different league of your own, if you will. That's kind of the way they look at it. You've never seen hardship in your life. And here's this group of people and saying, I've been where you are and I have come out of it. So you can too. But they're
Yeah,
in this mindset to where they're like, no, you don't see it my way. And we're like, we do see it your way. We were there and we came out of it, but such a negative mindset. And I almost see that as a mental health situation
yeah,
that they're struggling to overcome, if you will. But I've seen so much negativity where people just have a very hard time seeing the positive in things or don't want, maybe even it's a want, a desire. They don't want to change or improve their situation to have or move towards a better life. And we can talk about this a little bit because it takes us back to the beginning of the podcast, because you stated that you left corporate because you like helping people too. And I love helping people. My
right,
most greatest mission, Stephen, is to help people be successful. That is my greatest mission ever, is to,
right.
because I started at the bottom and implemented a skill set to climb the corporate ladder and to be successful with nothing and other than my mindset, um, and and relationships. And for people not to want to choose success or to choose positivity, they just soon stay where they're at. When someone's willing to help them rise, I, I
It
just,
don't make sense to you. Doesn't make sense to you.
I can't, I cannot fathom it. I
But
can't. I get so frustrated with
I get frustrated
people.
too.
I get so frustrated because I'm like, I'm telling you, people, I will help you get there. But they're like, no, I don't want to
Well,
change.
there's a couple of different things there. One is that their sometimes value of success is different. It's no longer how much money I make, but actually how much can I value my life, my time, right? That's different values right there. The other thing is think about the last, let's say, 15 years between the recession and the pandemic. It's only about 15 years. So if you are 25 years old, you've gone through two big major changes in lives. And you've seen your parents both go through things that really financially hurt them. All right. And then you also see the political issue. Then you see the richer get richer in their mindset. And what happens is, yeah, of course, that's not for them because they haven't had the experience of having anything to start with. And their mentors are not around. You know, they don't have. I had this one gentleman, and he signing up, and he just got out of jail, and he said, I said, start a business. I said, do you have a, you know, uh, business plan? He goes, yeah. Shows him. I said, that's pretty good. I said, you ready to lose half your friends? He goes, what are you talking about? I said, you're going to lose half your friends. He goes, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? I said, yeah, you're going to lose half your friends. He goes, no. I said, what's going to happen? They're going to call you up and say, let's go hang out. You're going to say, I got to work. 2 weeks later, they're going to call you up and say, hey, you want to hang out? You got to work. A month later, they're going to call you, hang out, I got to work. They're not going to stop calling you. You have to have a different circle of friends. If you don't have that support system, then that's gonna really hurt you in getting ahead. You have to have that support system. If you don't have similar kind mindsets of people around you and supporting you, and if you don't have that, it's really, really hard to see past it. So it's really important to get for people who are trying to start their business, or even younger people, or even people who want to change the socioeconomic level, is to find people who believe that and really want the best interest for you. Yeah. And that's hard to find sometimes. You know? Even if you're there and I'm here, okay, to jump over that chasm of belief, sometimes really takes a lot of courage and also faith. You know, faith is not knowing, is not having any information to believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Trust is when you have information to believe it's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
I guess it goes back to another fear that they have as to what am I going to have to give up? Because you're right. They have to give up the set of friends that they have today and get a new set of friends. They have to move from the negative set of friends they have and move more towards a positive set of friends and hang around the new set of 5, if you will. We always call it the set of 5 that are, that they want to be like. I mean, I have this thing about, I'm not going to hang around negative people. I mean, if I'm in a group of people and there's a bad apple, I'm not going to hang. I'm not going to hang there. I don't have time for that in my life.
Right.
And so,
but there's one that's overtly negative, and then there's negative because they don't have much of a choice, because they weren't raised being positive. So those people I want to hang out with, because I want to show them the way. I want to show them what's possible, and bring them along. And, it's like a manna from heaven here, feed yourself. Because a lot of people are hungry for that. They're hungry for a lot of different things in their lifetime. And the great thing about sales, it gives you a lot of things. It's a great lucrative career. You need nothing. You don't need a college degree. You don't need an advanced degree. You don't need nothing except your mind and willingness to help yourself
to be made.
Or other people. And that's it. And it's a great career for anyone starting out, changing career, or anything like that. And you can get all the tools you necessary by good training, good coaching, and it takes you to a place where you can make $100,000 within the first year if you're in the right situation. And if you said it to somebody like, no, not me. And then what it is that if you have a training that's relatable to them and easy understandable, that's why I created my program. And also the skills, capabilities, and situations necessary to be good at it. And then also the right position for yourself, you can make good money. And it's not as hard as people. Sales is probably the easiest thing you could do. It is. Because all it is taking people and helping them. If you have that viewpoint, talking to people, helping them, show them empathy, and have some accountability. I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, how do you balance empathy with accountability? Oh, this is easy. I said this. The thing about empathy is it's the word's overused. And there's 3 kinds of empathy. It's emotional, logical, and then compassionate. And basically, emotional is I feel what you're feeling. Logical or cognitive is I understand what you're feeling. And then compassion is I know and I understand what you're feeling. And I'll help you solve a problem. So that's accountability, is when you actually offer them a solution to a problem. I use the modified Socratic method, where you keep on asking questions and engage them until they come to their own conclusions. And after they come to their conclusion is, have you done everything you could do? That's accountability. It's coming to their own conclusions, but then ask the questions, could you have done more? If the answer is yes, that's accountability. If they say no, that's accountability. But it's that self-determination that's, I'm going to analyze it and say, yes, I've done everything I can do. Do what you can do and do everything you can do.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So
Yeah, I think
those things necessary.
I think that's a very good point. And I think too, that once you know what the customer's problem is and how you need to address that solution, but once you know how to address all of the objections that you think that you're going to get during that conversation, if you address those in your conversation with that individual, you just about have taken care of that whole shebang, if you will, that whole sandwich, that whole enchilada in that conversation. And just like what you're saying, you don't give them much room at the end to say anything other than, yes, they're going to join you. You're going to shortchange those opportunities for the individual, like you talked about earlier, to get those no's. When you really understand the process, it's much easier to get more yeses than to get more no's.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
It's so true. You want to get to a client where you actually box them into a corner, right? Because they come to their own conclusion of that. And that just makes sense for them. The thing about overcoming objection, I think it's something that people are fearful of. But if you think about it this way, if you invited someone to a dinner party and presented the food to them, and they didn't like it, what would be your rebuttals? Hey, would you like me to cook you something else? Would you like me to add salt? You know, I'm sorry, I didn't know you're lactose intolerant. All right. You would make adjustments to your presentation of the food. Which way? Same thing you would in a sales presentation. Would you like something different? Do you think different products? Sorry, I didn't research you well enough to know that you wanted red banners instead of green banners, whatever it may be. But you make those decisions on your feet, basically, or with practice, definitely. And you really find out what the problem is. And just say, can I do something different? Can I do something better? Could I, hey, it could be, let's talk about it later on. Or maybe I didn't help you this time, but maybe in case later on. Okay. So that's not hard. It's just making changes to what you have to say. And it's not an affront to you. It's like, hey, they didn't take it. That's okay with me. You can't get too invested in a no. It'll drive you crazy. Okay, next.
Yeah, you're so right. I'll never forget when I learned the lesson, Stephen, about handling those objections and how answering those questions and getting more involved in that was when I was in the middle of a situation like that. Because I said one time, and I'll say this, and then I want to know how our listeners can reach out to you, because I think you would be a great coach when dealing with sales. Is I said one time when someone presented me with a deal, I said, that's a significant amount of money, and I really want to talk to my husband about it. And they said, I can understand that you would want to do that. But let me ask you this question. When was the last time you spent this kind of money and asked your husband about it before? Or do you always talk to him about situations like this?
Listen, you're not a big enough girl to do it yourself. That's what he just said. That's a technique. Yeah, it's there's a whole bunch of techniques you get to. I've heard.
Oh, I've learned them.
Come out of people's mouths and like, how did they come up with that? I just didn't understand it. Well, it's the same thing as that when I was thinking of going to take a class. Of course, it was very expensive, and I said, honey, it's my wife. I said, honey, what do you think? She goes, what is it? I told her about it. She goes, if it didn't have to do with money, would you do it? She goes, yes. She goes, I'd do it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know all those techniques now. I'm now Grant Cardone. I am now Grant Cardone certified. in sales and marketing. So I know all those techniques, but I will tell you, when I used that and that came back to me, I have to say I wanted to crawl underneath my desk and my chair. But I honestly did want to talk to him because I wasn't comfortable. But I have learned now that when I want to say no, don't use an excuse. Say no.
Right. Well, that's because people would appreciate that. They would appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Because you back yourself in a corner that you end up, you're going to have to say yes when you really want to say no, because you back yourself into a corner.
I think we've all been victims to that, of ourselves betraying ourselves, which is something that happens. But the thing about those things is you have to, like, if you're on a diet and you go into a restaurant, you have to know what you want before you get there. So you're not, seduced by the other options that you really like. You have to come in with a plan. And you have to, so as a salesperson, you have to come with a practice with background information. So you know beforehand what's on the menu. All right. So you can make those decisions while you're talking to somebody, trying to get them, help them. And you have to have that kind of mindset before you get to the point of saying, you know something, let me talk to my husband.
Yes. Yes.
You have to talk to your husband, kind of thing,
Yeah. Yeah. My last vehicle, I bought it all on my own. There was no, I'm going to ask my husband, I'm going to do this, none of that. But now when I have somebody that tries to sell me something, I get straight to the point. If I say no and they try to come back, I'm like, look, I know your tactics. I'm all certified in sales. The end answer is no. So yes, I love it. This has been a great conversation.
I enjoyed
I love sales. I didn't always love sales, but I love sales now.
No, most people don't love sales because they've had a bad experience when they were younger, they were hard in sales, someone like that, a teenage young person, and they were coached or trained properly, and they have a bad taste. But sales is one of the best careers. I love sales, and I think everybody should too.
Yes, I agree. And when I think everybody that's in sales should have a mentor or a coach. I really do, because if you're trained properly, sales can be fun. Sales can be challenging. Sales can be fun. It's nothing more than a conversation, more than conversation. And I want the audience to know that. But being under the leadership of someone like you, Stephen, is, in my opinion, is very important. The awards and the accolades that you have achieved are phenomenal. I think that's amazing, and kudos to you. And I would love nothing more than the listeners to reach out to you for more information. Tell them where they can find you, if you would, please.
Well, on my website is ARK Enterprises, the number 1, ARKenterprises.com. I can also be reached on LinkedIn, Stephen with a PH, M Lesce, Lesce. And I'm also on Alignable, and I can be found there also.
Perfect. Well, my listeners are finding out more about Alignable. They hear me talk about it quite a bit. Best thing in the world. I'm glad you told them that, because
clients just from Alignable.
There you go, audience. He's gotten 3 new clients from Alignable. It is and
I've only been on Alignable for about 2 months.
Perfect. So you're a newbie there.
Yeah, big plug.
I love that. It is a great networking space, building relationships, networking. It is not what I'm going to call a salesy platform. It is truly building relationships, authentic relationships. I have built relationships for the past 2 years, and some of those people are becoming great friends of mine. Absolutely love that network. I would rank it highly. I mean, I like LinkedIn, don't get me wrong, but I don't build quality relationships on LinkedIn. My quality relationships are on Alignable. So I want to thank you, Stephen, for coming
Thank
on
you for
with me
having me.
today. It's been
I
a
appreciate
great
it.
conversation.
Yes.
And for those of you that are listening, please leave your great nuggets in the comments. And if you've not already subscribed to the podcast, please do that. We would love for you to subscribe to your favorite listening channel and or the YouTube channel, and we would appreciate it. And until next time, thank you for joining, and we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.